these empty arguments that are being made, right? I mean,
this guy's pulling statistics out of his ass, Michael, and none of these statistics have I seen anywhere or anything even close to this kind of crap.
Let's be more specific. We're talking about like the driving issue, right?
Driving.
Okay.
And I cited actual case studies that I had
Right.
about a couple hours prior to.
Sure. And he said, nobody's going to believe it.
Nobody's going to believe that, or do you think anybody's going to believe
right.
that?
Of course.
What universe are we living in today?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's actually correct. Not too many people take it upon themselves to do, some honest and objective research when they see these things. So,
well, it's just like, civil forfeiture. Nobody believes that. When I tell them that, they don't believe. They said, that can't happen. This is America. That can't happen.
So,
I mean,
go
ahead, Jim.
This insurance argument I found intriguing. It wasn't one that I had heard before.
It's new.
And I said, well, gee, if you have an undecided voter that's not really passionate but just would vote yes because they kind of feel like that's the way they should vote, that if you threaten them with a cost increase on their insurance premiums, that may make them think twice. So I've got this article up in front of me from the Denver CBS affiliate, and they talk about the insurance rates and that it's up more than 50% in 6 years. So there's a significant increase compared to a 20% average increase across the rest of the nation. But then they talk about the fact that it has nothing to do with marijuana. It has to do with Colorado's population boom. And as we all know, lots of people are moving to Colorado, and that as a result, there's more people out on the roadways, more crashes, and more expensive crashes.
And more people using their devices while they're driving, which is now showing up as a phenomena for accidents and things like
anyone
that.
that lives in a populated area can tell you that they pay more
and
for
there's
insurance.
more stolen vehicles in urban areas.
So we need to make sure this sort of thing gets debunked, because these sorts of arguments are strategically they're good arguments.
Well, he threw that out there also because there's a couple of bills that he's backing, and he was babbling about those for a minute until Hugh Perkins turned them around. There's some, how they want to cut insurance rates across Michigan, and he was something to do with that.
Well, the insurance rates in Wayne County are exorbitant.
It's crazy.
It has nothing to do with marijuana or cannabis.
No.
I mean, it could arguably be that the first-party lawsuits where you're suing your own insurance company
and this is the problem.
has exceeded all of their lawsuits, right? Which has created a problem. And they're talking about undoing all of that. We were talking about the Upper Peninsula and their views on marijuana. Does anyone have any experience that they can speak of in terms of how the public safety, issues about marijuana, not just for medical over the last 8 years or 10 years, but even before that, is it perceived as being as penalized and punitive as it is, not just the Lower Peninsula, but like in areas like Oakland County or Livingston County?
I do want to, touch specifically on the insurance topic, because this must be a seed they're sowing around the state, and before last night, because when I was in the Upper Peninsula, I went to Northern Michigan University in Marquette, and also Bay Denoc Community College in Escanaba. And a student actually asked me about this because they were doing a report that night, or they'd done a report the night before for a class about how their insurance would go up because it's gone up in other states. And I honestly had not really heard that argument, but then looking into it, like you'd said, Deborah, is a lot of distracted driving. That the highway reports cited that, and so he actually showed me something similar, and because he'd done his due diligence, but he was still pretty concerned and convinced that rates were going to go up because of marijuana.
Yeah, these guys take these figures and they distort them, which is what they were doing last night. And if you don't have the facts in front of you, it's hard to...
Well, it's tough.
Sure, numbers don't lie, but the people who use them do.
Right.
But especially with a new argument like that, and I expect that they're going to come up with some more creative bullshit, and we're going to have to work to debunk it, but this sort of thing is the type of thing that will scare people, even people that are supportive of us, and say, well, let me think twice about this, because people get weird with their money.
It's a hot-button issue in Michigan, insurance prices, for sure.
Almost genius.
Yeah. Diabolically genius.
Yep. Well, why don't we take a quick
We can do that.
Quick break.
I did want to talk more about some of the things that are happening and why they're getting any pushback at all. I mean, the arguments at the end of the day were not very strong.
Yeah.
There's no point in
They're
any.
just going to work to scare people.
Well,
No, and he
because they know they're
basically
on the
agreed
losing
with
side
us
of
at the
it.
end of the debate that it's a state's issue. You heard that? He said
And that decriminalization is a good thing.
is a good thing.
He
Yeah.
has stated publicly that his
Bizarre,
problem with
you know?
with the
What were you just
CRMLA
arguing with us about that?
is
You know?
the method of distribution.
Yeah.
He said it,
No,
and
he said it for real. He did.
and that means that all of these arguments that he's making about the insurance increases and the DUIs and all this other nonsense, they're all disingenuous. Disingenuous, because if someone else was going to make the money, he would support it. He would support it.
And, just on that, he'd also said something about it took the legislature 8 years to do anything,
Yeah,
and
he was
the
part of
Senate
that.
majority
This is
leader.
what we
part of
said.
that.
Exactly. The law just
He
got
thinks
passed
our
last
memories
year.
are that short,
Right.
like
Because
oh,
you held it up.
greasy
years and
Randy,
years and years.
greasy.
He
Randy.
withheld a vote
Uh-huh.
in lame duck in 2014,
Yeah.
and that's why we started.
You
Am I
shoulda-
legal?
You guys should have called him Bo Bandy, Steve.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bo
Bastard,
Bandy.
Phil.
He
Anyway,
looks like a bull band.
yeah, I know he does. I know.
I heard there's a
Showed
place
us
in the
his
UP.
puppy in the parking
The
lot.
place in the UP that's like akin to the Golden Triangle in California, true or false? And for years they've been producing marijuana. Nobody bothers them. They go outside, producing marijuana across the state, left alone. True or false?
That is true.
All right. Okay. So I heard.
I say true.
So I just didn't know. I was asking more specifically about the Marquette, how it's been treated. Like they may. I mean,
They're a very liberty-loving bunch up in the UP. They,
Sure.
You know,
It's
they
like a
are the
Humboldt
people that
County,
want
is that what
to
you're saying?
protect their crops with their guns, and
farmers.
Smoke
They're
some wood doing
farmers.
it.
They're farmers. They're hunters.
But to
they're
the extent
outdoors,
where
they're-
it
and
took
they're-
on the community where the police, it was like the source of income. There's certain people that are doing it. They left them alone. They knew they, funded the fire department, the police department, helped keep things going. It kind of.
There are some counties that are really, adamantly against medical marijuana, have taken some steps, against that. I know, but with Am I Legalized, I was able to tour the UP a couple times with Colin McDougall, and we ran into a lot of people who moved to the UP from Wisconsin and Minnesota, as either medical refugees looking for access to medicine, or as people growing for family members or themselves. And there's a lot of cannabis grown up there. Marquette itself has been a pretty hippy dippy progressive town for a long time, and it's a really cool little city. And their student population has always been pretty funky and progressive. So yeah, there's the perception goes both ways, where there are a lot of the traditional conservatives, but the non-traditional conservatives are also pretty in favor of legalization, and that includes, I think, a large sector of the the Trump base.
Where can people who want to get involved with the campaign? What can they do? Where can they go? What is the advice to them if they want to get down and into it right now? Who do they call? What's their best play?
They can email us at info@amilegalized.com. They can reach out on Facebook. Facebook is where we'll respond to you the quickest. If you are a student, if you know a student, if you're just a young person in general looking to get involved, you can email me at nick@ssdp.org, and we'll find some activities for you, some local events, and maybe even get you wrapped in hosting an event or something of the sort. And we're really hoping to start distributing lawn signs soon. We've got a plan to get some printed. We've got some funding secured for that, and we'll hopefully have a nice bounty of swag to get out across the state. Right now, if you are really itching to get something, you can go to cafepress.com/yesonone and buy a yard sign or T-shirt, and those dollars would support the Coalition to Regulate Marijuana Like Alcohol. But Am I Legalized is currently working to get some signage out.
Okay. All right. Very good. Any other comments on this topic before I just hit the final one here of DEA placement in Schedule 5 of certain FDA-approved drugs containing cannabidiol. Anyone got a comment on that? In other words, CBD has now been placed.
You're talking about Epidiolex?
It's only in the Epidiolex form.
Right, illegal. Right, as a Schedule 5.
Yes.
But falling where, if not from the, what is it? What are the things that are outside of it? Does this? I mean, there's an argument.
It only
this
protects
illegals-
Epidiolex. It's like Marinol version 2.
It's actually plant derived. So that's the first plant derived
Right.
FDA approved drug for Dravet syndrome, and Marinol is purely synthetic. So
Right. Well, I guess I wasn't comparing the actual
treatment.
medication.
She's talking about
but
like
the treatment under the law.
because they've taken the CBD
But
aspect
it's-
of it, which was not ever
It's
defined
ridiculous.
as being a controlled substance
That's not according to the FDA or the DEA.
before this.
Yes, sir.
Well, find me. I mean, it's not placed when the controlled substance is listed as a.
No, but there's letters. I mean, there's
Yeah, but-
letters from these agencies that clarify that CBD is absolutely considered a part of the marijuana plant, and as a result, is considered a Schedule 1 controlled substance.
I
To
read
the-
that yesterday.
To the extent that it has been deemed as such, I would disagree until recent years. I think they know and are aware that there's a market for CBD, and its origins are still, one might say, unknown.
Synthetic.
I know. And is there a synthetic CBD yet? Did they figure that out? Is there a...
There's, of course, that's what's being used in research. I mean, there's 30,000 papers on the endocannabinoid system, and they use a lot of THC agonists.
No, but I'm saying like
CBD1
synthetic CBD. I'm saying like they could like the Marinol was made out of moss and fungus, some beakers, blah 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 blah.
Yum.
You got THC.
Sounds good.
The CBD
You cannot.
is it been made from? Is it they've synthetic CBD? That's not what this.
No, it's not
And-
synthetic.
I know this is not, but I'm saying, is there a formula that someone has figured out to make synthetic CBD, like or compared to synthetic THC, which is Marinol?
I've never heard of
How
it.
would you measure it? You would have to measure how long it sits on the receptor, what the affinity for that receptor is in your body, and then
They've-
you measure.
They've made synthetic THC though. That's what I'm saying. They made Marinol.
Marinol purely is just working on the same receptor that THC does. It's had absolutely nothing to do with the plant. So it's just a chemical that acts on the same receptor, but it has different affinities for that receptor, meaning it stays on the receptor, for example, much longer. It's broken down by an enzyme differently, and so it behaves differently than the THC.
I know. My question was, this particular discussion of Epidiolex is naturally extracted from the plant,
Yes.
okay, which is unique because all or most other, not sure, most of the time, one could say, or at least in the example of Marinol or dronabinol, which is specifically THC, okay? It is THC and nothing else, and there's no cannabinoids in it, and there's no THC others than THC. Why is that? Because they do not derive it from the plant. They take other plants, not marijuana, and they make pure THC. It's none of these other, and you would not find any of these other cannabinoids or any terpenes or any of these other things within it, right? So the question I was asking was, can CBD be made? I mean, you're giving me the
But
reaction.
Marinol is not THC. It's not.
Well,
THC comes from the plant, and
it's
Marinol.
considered. Listen,
It just works on the same receptor, but it's completely non-plant derived. It's
Okay,
purely synthetic.
but it has the same chemical molecular structure.
no,
and-
then CBD, no. If-
No, of course. Then it's different than it's the same as THC from the plant. THC is THC, whether it's synthetic or
No, like for
naturally
example,
derived.
the THC equivalent in our body, our endocannabinoid, is anandamide. It's
I'm just talking about what THC under a microscope.
Well, yeah, but like, what is it? What they spray on spice and everything? JWH 18 is a synthetic THC, but it's not similar to the molecule really.
Well, it's
Like
not
it's-
synthetic. It's not THC. Then it's something else. They call it
Well,
THC.
But that's what he's saying with Marinol. Like they call it synthetic THC, but it's not actually a THC molecule that's been created in a lab.
It's not that delta 9 tetrahydrocannabinol. It's not the same as Marinol. It's different. It has different receptor affinities, and That's what makes it different. There's no